For me, like I was turning 50 and some people have midlife crises and they want to buy like a Ferrari. For me, it was building a toy store.
I got emotional when I walked in the place for the very first time. I could go deep into the shelving and it all was real. You could shoot 360 spherical everywhere and it just all was like you were in one.
We all like going back in time and imagining how things could have gone differently.
What an amazing true story this is. I knew nothing about it when I walked in and I go like, wow, this is the kind of thing you can't make up. Nobody would believe it, really.
That's right. We had heard the story and we started talking to the real Jeff Manchester, who's in a maximum security prison in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we couldn't call him. He could only call us. There was a time a couple years into hearing his story where I was like, we got to talk to someone else and make sure that this really happened. We talked to his mom. We talked to his brother. We talked to anyone that would talk to us. And it was talking to Lee and Ron that really kind of changed our tone and our perspective on the film, because we had assumed that they might be angry with him or might have some bitterness or feel betrayed by him. But the way they spoke of Jeff was like this unicorn that had entered their lives for 3 months, and they were so thankful. We took kind of their point of view, their grace that they had for him as kind of our guiding principle in the film.
And Channing, sometimes actors go, I don't want to talk to the real guy. I don't want to be influenced, all of that. I think you've talked to Jeffrey yourself many times, right?
Oh yeah, I just talked to him like about a week and a half ago, actually. I hadn't talked to him
You're
in a
still
while.
doing it.
Yeah, definitely. It's less frequent now, but yeah, like 2 months leading up to the actual film, you know, he would just call you. I'd be like talking to my daughter's like kindergarten teacher or whatever, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, maximum security prison is calling me right now. I just went into it just not having a lot of expectation. I didn't want to just rifle questions at him and like, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? He could ask me questions about my life, you know, how I got into acting. He loves movies. We talked about movies like almost, I'd say half the time. And it was just, I don't know, he takes care of you. He's such a warm person. I don't know if that's how he was before he went in. He really does believe that he is in the right place. He just didn't agree with the amount of time that they gave him. And I do believe that that is the truth.
Kirsten, talk about Lee. Did you have a lot of conversations with her?
I just learned about Lee through Derek, and I knew how much, you know, she really loves Jeff. So that's really was my guiding light in making sure that this felt like a real love story. I did meet her in a scene that got cut out, and it was a very emotional scene. But I think it was actually kind of cathartic for both her, and felt good that she was there.
We were shooting the scene where she's interviewed by the cops, and I cast the two police officers that interviewed the real Lee 20-something years ago. I didn't give them any dialogue. I just said, do what you would do. Lee, the real Lee, was watching from Video Village, and at the end of this 40-minute interview that they did with Kirsten, which was some of the greatest acting I've ever seen.
I agree.
Those cops were like dumbfounded that Kirsten made it so real, and they had this flashback. And they fell into their characters. She made them great actors. It was like phenomenal to see that.
Now, Jamie and Lynette have, as I mentioned, worked with you, going back to Blue Valentine, The Place Beyond the Pines. Talk about working with Derek on this movie. He's kind of loosening up a little bit in a way we haven't seen with his work before.
As you're seeing tonight, Derek, in his core, is a real comedian. I mean, he thinks he's very funny. So, you know, going into this, you know, he told us he wanted to write the kind of, you know, something with a little more comedy. I think we were, you know, a little skeptical, but at the same time, it was an important kind of progression for him as a filmmaker. And this story was sort of the perfect story to do that, because what's at the core of his filmmaking, what makes him so special, is his ability to find the truth and then work with those real people and work with things that feel human but also really honest. And, you know, for all of the sort of moments in this film that are sort of unbelievable, you know, it still was coming from a place of truth. I think that's why the film works so well. I think that's why people are connecting to it. And I think that's why it was such a perfect story for him to tell.
Lynette, one of the things that he's known for is authenticity. How important was that as a producer to get all that?
Well, it was important to Derek, and so then therefore it became important to us. We had very spirited conversations in the beginning about shooting in North Carolina, and it was so important to Derek that this was shot in the place where it really took place. That's what makes a Derek Cianfrance movie. We shot in the church where that was the real church. And the Toys R Us wasn't the real Toys R Us, but it was a real Toys R Us. It used to be a Toys R Us. It was basically an empty building that had a faded facade on the front. It had no floor, no lighting. And so we completely converted it into a fully functional working Toys R Us. And one of the greatest gifts is also the greatest challenge, which is that he wants us to help him create real environments so that when the actors step onto the stage, that they really are able to really just immerse themselves in the world. And so we've been doing this for 20 years with him. And so we know what the expectation is going into it. And I think it's why we love coming back to work with him time and time again.
For me, like I was turning 50 and it was, some people have midlife crises and they want to buy like a Ferrari. For me, it was building a toy store.
I got to just give a shout out to Inbal Weinberg, our production designer, who she brought it to life so that Kirsten could be an employee there and come to work in a real Toys R Us, and Channing could touch things and everything.
I got emotional when I walked in the place for the very first time. It was down to the tile, to the zebra gum. It wasn't just like a toy and then empty boxes. I could go deep into the shelving and it all was real. You could shoot 360 spherical everywhere and it just all was like you were in one.
And it was really fun watching you sort of dance. So we know you have a dance background, but your movement through the store is great fun to watch. And
yeah, we did all the versions of that. One of my favorite experiences maybe in my entire life acting, I believe, is just getting to dig with this man. There was no small scenes. We would do it every single way that you could possibly think about doing it. We'd be like, all right, the floor's lava. And they'd be like, okay, you're Charlie Chaplin now. Now do it like Jerry Lewis. Now do it like you are moving in molasses. I mean, it was truly, it was an exercise in just like, all right, how many things can we just come up with? And it was really, really fulfilling in a way.
Amazing. Now, this gentleman right at the end here has known Derek longer than any of you. Kirt Gunn has, you tell the story. When did you meet Derek?
So Derek and I have a secret life where we have to do advertising work when we're not doing film work. And I actually gave Derek his first job directing in advertising. And we kind of started this, friendship that's gone on, for a very long time. And we always wanted to do something together. And I think lately we realized that, we better find that thing to do together or it would pass us. And so when this idea came around, Derek said, what about this? I think originally, I had all the reservations of what if we portray this guy as too friendly, too nice? What if we're too dark and it's Taxi Driver? And I think ultimately what we heard was something that we need right now in this world, in this country, which was sort of a story of someone who made these massive mistakes, but he was met with forgiveness that was equal to the size of the mistakes, and he was met with redemption and love, and those people who gave those things to him don't regret it. It was just really just kind of an amazing journey to get back and, go back to this time and kind of investigate all these things. So it was a real treat.
So they're thinking out there, ask him about the scene where he's taking the shower and he winds up in the store. And was that
happened?
That happened?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just really wondering how we were going to shoot that scene.
I didn't know either.
No, and that's really, we showed up on the day. I was like, so how are we doing this? Because I got to jump up the thing, and like, you're going to be down where? Exactly? But I do this in a wonder. How's this going to work? Look, I've been naked a lot in movies, but this is definitely going to get messy. Peter Dinklage actually took care of me. He was just so fun in the scene, and the scene actually was a joy to do, but I'm happy that it was over when it was done.
That was the first time you guys met.
Yeah, that actually was the first time we met.
I tried to keep them apart, so they would. So the first time Peter Dinklage ever saw Channing Tatum,
he saw all of me.
He saw all of them.
Very intimate.
That's show business. I love it.
Hello, Mr. Dinklage.
We just went down to 000 right on that story. So that's perfect. Thank you all for coming out here and sharing the story of Roofman.
Thank you, sir.